That young chap behind me here playing chess, that's me in September 2019, so almost 4 years ago, and I was demonstrating the square off chess set. It's a chess set that moves the pieces automatically. I was very impressed with it at the time. It was something I'd always wanted, or at least something along those lines. For years since being a child, I'd always imagined that I'd have a chess set where the pieces move by themselves. Well, this did it. Now, when I bought this one, this had already been out on the market around about 4 years, and I got this second-hand off eBay. Unfortunately, I realised at the time I was doing the video that it was just too big for my house. It was overhanging the edges of this table in the video, and after I finished making the video, I just had to take it down so I could use the table, and I've got nowhere else to put it. Ideally, I'd want to leave this thing set up somewhere, but it just took up a massive load of space. So I ended up sticking it back in the box. I thought, well, I'll come back to it when I can figure this out. Well, just a couple of weeks later, on Kickstarter, the Square Off people launched a new campaign for a new, smaller one with other enhanced features as well. So I thought, right, well, I'll just back that one then. And I passed this one on to a friend. I thought, oh, well, I'll have my new one very soon. Well, of course, the event happened and everything was delayed, and it's only just arrived. So this is my new, smaller Square Off chess set. And just a warning here, I don't play chess. I mentioned this in the last video. I still got loads of chess people saying, oh, you did that move wrong. Look, I last played chess in that video, and I played it perhaps once or twice. And then before then, it was another 40 years back, and I played it perhaps a dozen times then. So I'm not exactly a grandmaster. So during this video, I'll be demonstrating this, but I'm not going to be demonstrating it by showing you a really good game of chess. I'm just going to show you how the thing works. So just bear that in mind. You might wonder why someone who doesn't play chess would want a chess set. Well, it's an aspirational thing. I always fancied the idea of playing a bit more, but never have anyone to play against. And I can play against this, and also it's the physicality of it. The fact that it's a real thing. I never liked the idea of playing on a computer screen or a phone. I like the idea of moving the pieces around. Right, now just like the original, you'll be able to play online and against a computer. One thing I didn't like about the first one was that it relied on the app on the phone. I wanted the device itself to be able to just play without having access to an app, but I don't think that's going to be possible with this one either. Right, well, I've only got the US style end on here, but it is a multi-voltage adapter, so I'll just pop that on and use it with a travel adapter. And this is the stand that you put your phone on, which has to stay next to the device because, of course, it's connected to it. And also you get additional information shown on your phone screen. Right, now this looks a lot more sensible as far as the size goes. Now, it feels to me like the top of this is paper, perhaps, or card, stuck to what presumably is a plastic backing. On the bottom here, we've got a shipping screw because, of course, we've got moving mechanisms in here which need to be held in place while it's shipping. So that just pops out like that. Now, as far as inputs, outputs and controls on the device go, this is it. We've got the power socket, we've got an on-off button next to it, so you'll need to use this in conjunction with the app on your phone to access its features. Right, so the instructions say, plug it in, power it on, connect it up, get the app connected to the device and update the firmware. So let's get on with that. I'd suggest that sounds like it's connected. Yep, activated, checking for firmware update. Right, we're on firmware 2.3.5. There's an update available to 3.0.7. I've connected the table directly up to the Wi-Fi. It's had no problem doing that, and it's installing the new firmware now. It says it takes around 3 to 5 minutes. So while it gets on with that, let's unpack these chess pieces. Right, well, I think these are all plastic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are plastic, but let's just pop them on the table here. Just to give you an idea as to how green I am when it comes to chess, I actually had to look up online where the chess pieces went on the board. I wasn't 100% sure. As I say, it's very vague memories of the last time I played this. Right, well, let's start off. So we'll go from there to there. And you have to put it in the centre of the space on here, and the lights on the space will indicate where you should go. Oh, that is really quiet and quick. Oh, that's impressive. I like that. Right, let's just move another piece. This is a lot quieter than the previous one. Right, so it's taken that one out. So that one's out of the game. Right, okay. Oh, I'm on a clock. What happens if I don't do anything? I'll have to do something. Too late. I forfeit the match by just taking too long. Okay, now those beeps, you can turn those off if you want, if you find them annoying. I'm going to leave them on because they are informative as to what's going on. Now, to start this game off, I need to reset the position of the pieces, of course. Now, on the larger one of these that I had before, it could do that for you automatically. This one can't. These aren't RFID chip enabled. What happens is, the position of the piece is what determines what that piece is. So you've got to put them in the right positions to start with. Now the larger one had positions off to the side so that when a piece was removed from the game board, it was put into a certain position, and then that's how it knew to bring them back into the right place again. So that might be a reason why someone wants that larger board. One thing I've noticed though when I move this down here, the phone on this stand, it doesn't stand on there very well. If you were just to press anything on the screen, it falls off very easily. I'm going to use my own stand here instead. I don't think that one's really up to the task. Let me set these pieces up again and let's give it another go. Only takes a couple of seconds to set them up, so the fact that the other one can do it automatically isn't such a big deal. Okay, now I've got options. I can do what I did last time, which was play against an AI. I've got choices of some bots that I can play against as well that have different characteristics, I think. I could also challenge a friend if I had any friends and if they were playing chess, and I'd have them linked in here and I'd be able to inform them that we wanted to play a game. They'd be able to do it online on their phone or on one of these devices. There's numerous different ways you can play against people. Not up to that standard yet. I'm going to play against the AI again, but we've also got the option here to stream games or play face-to-face, which I presume is just using the board kind of offline really. But let's go with the AI option again, and we're going to start with a new game, and I'm going to be white. Oh, no, hold on, I'll be black, and I'll leave the timer clock on again. I think that enabled me to do a quicker game for the video. So let's just play here. Full automation, play game. I'm just going to mirror its moves. That's always a good cheat if you don't know what you're doing, isn't it? So we pick that up, pop it back down there again. Right, so now it's going to show me what it's doing. So let's move that one out there. So the screen is a little bit ahead of the board. Now, again, I want to get some things moving along here. So let's just be a bit silly. Let's pop that to there. And then we should start seeing some stuff happening. Right, it's going to move the knight from there to there. Now notice it goes in between the pieces there. On the last video, there were so many people said, how does it move the knight? Thinking there must be some kind of anti-gravity technology for jumping it over pieces. No, it just moves between them. It was the simpler option to implement. And I was too slow. I shouldn't have the timer on when I'm doing this because I'm spending too long chatting to the camera, but let's just do a rematch. Right, now here's a great example of how the board doesn't know where the pieces are. It's down to me to put them in the right positions to start with, and clearly I didn't do that on this occasion. Because looking at the screen here, it thinks the king is here, thinks the queen is there, whereas I'm looking at the board thinking, hold on a minute, I've got check on the king here. Well, I haven't. I must have mixed a couple of pieces around. So I need to reset this one. Now, when I did the previous video, quite a few people wanted me to open the board up, to have a look inside, to crack it open and see what the innards were. Well, it was a destructive process if you did that. There was a video on YouTube where someone had done it, and basically they just hacked the whole thing open. At the end of it, they'd left with a broken chessboard, but the internals of it were really quite obvious and very easy to predict. So I'm not going to open this one either. I'll tell you exactly what's in here, but you can imagine what's in here. If you just think about it for 1 second, first thing, circuit board. Second thing, what's moving the chess pieces around? Well, it's like the arm of a plotter. You've seen plotters with a pen on them, drawing on a page. Well, stick that upside down, attach a magnet on the end, and then these pieces here, they're magnetised. So all you need to do is to move a magnet around at the top of the board here, on a plotter arm, attach that circuit board. That's it. That's what you got inside one of these. Yeah, so not really worth cracking it open and breaking it to show you that. Now, looking through this app, there are a lot of additional features in here, but they're all things that I don't plan on using. I only bought this to be a modern day version of your traditional computer chess set. A person versus a computer at various different levels of difficulty. That's all I'm interested in. I don't even want to do any of the online stuff. That's just not my bag. However, if we look in the app here, we've got options to do puzzles. It's up to me to pick the next best move. And then there's also games that you can start with your pieces in a certain position and then work from there, or you can stream matches as well, although quite a few of those things are locked out for this table. The reason being is that you need the additional space of the larger table to be able to move your pieces out of the game. For example, if you're watching a streamed match and this side takes that piece, well, it needs to put it somewhere, so put it off to the side on the larger table in the position where it rests. Here, we've got nowhere to put it. So if you're watching a streamed match, it might be able to move a couple of pieces off, but it wouldn't be long before it all bunched up and the whole thing wouldn't work, so they just don't let you do that. However, looking through here, you can play quite a few of these things on the app itself, and if you want to do some of them, they're additional subscription required options. And if we look at the price of that at the moment, it says upgrade now for just $29 for 6 months. So I'm sure if you were really into chess, then that kind of thing would be interesting to you. But no, I'm happy just playing against the computer, which costs me nothing extra. And as long as this app keeps working, I'll be able to continue doing that. But yeah, it does rely on the app. There is one thing in this app that I didn't notice until now, and I should have perhaps looked at this before. This is the quick tour. This explains to you how you're supposed to move the pieces on the board. For example, don't slide them, lift them up and place them in the next position. If you happen to be taking an opponent's piece, take the piece off the board that you've captured and then move your piece into its position. It also shows you here how to castle and how to promote. And you might notice these beeps on the board being a little bit perhaps annoying. I like them, but if you don't like all the board sounds, you've got options here. You can turn them all off, or you can be selective. You can have them on pickup and on placing down, on check, on error, on game ends. I won my first game of chess. Yeah, I'm aware the computer let me win there. It was just playing a terrible game to give me some kind of sense of achievement. It's just level 1. It's like a training level. I'm sure from here on in it gets a lot more difficult, but still, I've had a lot of fun. Now, I've dimmed the lights in the room down because I wanted to get a better look at the lights that are underneath the playing surface here. When we start a game off, we've got an option to either have the pieces move automatically or just lights guide you as to where you're to move the pieces to. So we're playing a version of that game. Now, notice I've got some lights showing up already. This is telling me that I've got some pieces that are slightly out of alignment, so we'll just get that sorted out. So that one needs to move over there. Right, and there's one at the other side there. I don't think you can see that from where you are, but the lights are telling me that that needs to be in the middle. And I think after I get these sorted out, we're probably ready to go. Now, the way that this is working at the moment is how the roll-up version of the square-off chessboard would work. It tells you the moves to make, but you have to do it on behalf of the board. It doesn't have the automated function on that one due to the thickness, of course, of the board. This is quite a chunky thing. It wants that one to go to there. It's easier if you follow it in conjunction with the board as well, just in case you're not entirely sure what you're supposed to be doing. Right, I completely forgot about this option. I've got my pawn to the other side of the table here, and I've got a choice of these pieces. Well, I think we'll have a queen. I'll swap that out. As far as its performance goes, it's quicker and quieter than the previous one that I used. I also like the fact that the pieces, you don't have to push them down on a membrane to tell the thing where they are. On the previous one, if I was moving this, I'd have to press it first there and then press it again where it's gone to, and that's how it would register it. With this one, just the fact you've lifted it off tells it that it's moved, and then when you put it back down again, the magnet of course tells it where it goes to. There's no membrane on this one. I like how the app has a proper beginner's level for people who are terrible at chess like myself. I mean, in the past I've tried various chess computers briefly, and they all seem to start off at a level where they expect you to have some degree of competence. Well, fortunately this one starts below there. It starts at a level where clueless people like myself can still win a game, and of course it ramps up considerably from there. But I like the fact it starts there because it just gives me more of an opportunity to play the game rather than just moving a few pieces, being soundly beaten, being told you're rubbish, then starting again over and over. That's the kind of thing that's rather discouraging. Letting you play the game for longer gets you more familiar with it, and therefore gets you more interested in playing at a higher level. At least it does for me. They haven't even finished shipping this one out yet, and I'm coming up with ideas of things that could be done better, and most of these would be things that they'd have to do on a newer version. So it's really pie in the sky thinking this, but I just thought I'd mention it after using this for a bit. There's just a couple of things that came to mind, thought it was worth passing them on. The first one is the beeps. All the beeps sound pretty much the same to me. I won a game before on the basic level, and it beeped at me, and I thought it was beeping to tell me I'd moved a piece incorrectly, I'd done an illegal move. Same kind of beep. It shouldn't do that. A win should be like da-da-da-da-da-da, and an illegal move should be like or something. You know, different kind of sounds. Then again, if you're going as far as that, maybe it'd be better if it just spoke to me. Illegal move, checkmate, low battery, that kind of thing. There's times when you do want tech to talk to you. It'd be pretty good if you had the countdown clock going like 10, 9, 8. That would add a level of stress to the whole thing. The other issue I don't like is the need for this thing to rely on an app. I don't like things that rely on apps because apps disappear or can disappear or aren't upgraded for the latest operating system or whatever. Anything that relies on an app is relying on something that's variable. If you just have a device here that's standalone, fully functional, that would be far more up my street. I should mention that it's knocked over pieces a few times when it's moved them off to the edge. On the previous one, it did slide them between them a little bit more gracefully, so I don't know if that's because perhaps these pieces are a little bit lighter, being made out of plastic, or there just isn't enough room between the pieces, or it's a calibration issue. But am I glad I bought it? Yes, I am. Am I missing the larger one that I gave away? No, I'm not. But that's me. If you want to get more professional, watching streamed games, maybe you want the larger one. Right, now this section is an addendum to the video. I want to add a little bit of information on at the end, which I didn't include earlier. I put a version of this video out on Patreon a week or so ago, and since then a couple of things have cropped up that I thought were worth mentioning. The first one is that apparently these people have an affiliation program, a referral program, where if I put the appropriate link in the video description, the person who clicks on it gets some kind of discount, and I think I get up to 10% kickback on the sale. Bear in mind, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not recommending you buy one of these, but I thought it might be worth putting that in there. I've only just applied for it. I don't even know if it's going to come through, but if you fancy getting one of these and you fancy perhaps helping me out, just have a look there, see if that link's there. If it isn't, doesn't matter. I'll tell you one thing though, if you do go on the website for these people, these Square Off people, and you fancy having a look at it, you'll have trouble finding the one I've shown you. They've hidden it. I think that's because they're still fulfilling the Kickstarter orders, so they don't want a load more orders coming in when they haven't finished sending the first lot out. But I'll show you where it is so that you could put in an order if you want to. I hope by doing this you wouldn't jump the Kickstarter people. But anyway, right, so if you look on the homepage, which is squareoffnow.com, you go down here, you see this fold-out one, and then you go down, you see the Grand Kingdom one, which is the one I showed before a few years ago. And then you keep going down and you get a lot of other stuff. You think, well, that's it. But right down at the bottom, right down at the bottom, there is the Swap and the Neo. The Neo is the one that I showed you. The Swap is the version with the edge pieces on the parking spaces. This also enables you to play draughts as well as chess. I'm wondering if I should have bought that one now, because it doesn't look that much bigger, and I do like the idea of the pieces going back into position. You saw how I cocked it up when I put the pieces in the wrong place. Well, that wouldn't happen if I had one of those. So yeah, maybe I should have got the Swap, but I bought the Neo, and when I did it on Kickstarter, it was, well, all in, including delivery and everything, it cost me under 150 quid. I think it's quite a bit more than that now. And since the price has gone up there, you might want to also have a look at an alternative from another company. There's one that's on Indiegogo at the moment. I think it's been on Kickstarter, and it's Go Chess. And it looks a bit sleeker and neater. I don't know if it's any good, but I put an order in for one of these as well, just because somebody sent me the link and I had a look at it. I thought, oh, that's a bit nicer. This does have the parking spaces, and if you go for the top option, it has like 3 arms in it to move 3 pieces at once, so it all moves very quickly when it's setting itself up. At least that's the idea. But bear in mind, once I clicked on all the things I wanted on this, I think including delivery and everything and duties, it's probably going to cost me over £400. Do a bit of research before buying anything, but if you do buy something, there might be an affiliate link on this video, but you don't have to click it if you don't want to. This was not an advert, I was just showing you something that I bought. I'm happy with it, but I'm now wondering if I would have been happier with something else. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.